Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the full agenda. Tonight we have many different hairstyles on offer, and we're going to be talking about Ten Hag, Manchester United, and what's kind of going wrong. So I'm delighted to say that, as always, I'm joined by Yaba.
Welcome.
Thank you. Dora.
Hello.
Hi. Kehinde.
Hey.
Hey, good. And Brush.
Big up. Lovely to be here.
Great. I can see that the panel is really full of enthusiasm tonight. It's an electric atmosphere. All right. I think just before we start off, I would love to know who is where everyone's feeling about the manager at the moment. I think it's inevitable he's probably going to go quite soon. But is anyone still Ten Hag in, Mr. Forbes, Senior?
Yeah, I support Man United Football Club. All right, that means you support the team, whoever's there, until they leave. It's not my decision to kick people out. But if you're asking me about his reign, I think he's done pretty well by winning 2 cups. But he's come into a club not where he can just buy players and continue how we have done in the last 10 years, where we bought big players to come in and just about closing the gap. It seems to us with the Ineos coming in, seems to me anyway, this is where my stance is, that we have an idea, a better plan to get to where we want to be, taking baby steps to get there. And on that road, it's going to be rocky. And I'm prepared. I've strapped in. I put my seatbelt in while everyone else is falling out, but getting bumps, a few bumps coming on, people flying out and getting, hitting their head and all that kind of thing and complaining. I'm strapped in and saying, okay, it's going to be a bumpy ride, but I'm secure here. And even though I see bath time flying out, Mr. B flew out the window the other day, said Ten Hag out and that kind of thing. But I'm secure with my belt on and I'm ready to see what the future brings. We didn't win many games last year. We lost a lot of games last year. We've already lost 3 this season. I'm not surprised, but this time around, I'm not blaming the manager solely. I think there's other factors in place. So why should the manager have to leave? What about the coaches? What about the players? We saw in the last 2 games, players making stupid mistakes. Is that to do with the manager? Does the manager coach that to say, turn into trouble, Ericsson, don't play the way you're facing? Or to Dalot, you're a professional guy, but don't track back with Brendan Johnson. He's not good enough. Don't worry about that. Kick forward. He doesn't coach that. So it's down to the players as well. But then on the other side of things, I'm starting to think, well, if he can't get a tune out of the players where they want to play for him, it seems, if they're letting him down, then the culture seems, the negative culture where the player power is there, where they can get managers sacked, still applies. And I'm not entirely getting Ten Hag out yet, because I still think there's still a lot more to be revealed with the players. With Bruno out now, maybe there's an opportunity for someone to come in and we find a formula that works for us. I'm sitting tight, I'm strapped in, and I think I'm just going to wait and bide it out, because I don't think if we sack him right now, we're just going to take a step back and someone else might come in, have that manager bounce initially, but once again, it's back to the same thing. We're not closing the gap and we're not being secure. To do things securely, if we're all in relationships here, if you just break up over one little, things going wrong or having a bad 7-year itch or whatever, if you just break up and then go on Tinder or start scrolling, it's so easy to do that these days. That's why people do it. It's like with changing manager. What happened to a proper marriage? We took our vows to say we support Man United and we're backing Ten Hag. What happened to the secure, lovely relationship where we go through thick and thin till death do us part and go with Ten Hag? I think it's important that we stick with him right now, despite everything. And I know people are angry, but you haven't strapped in. You're not understanding. You don't see the vision. Like Daniel saw a vision in the Bible. People in the Bible, they see a vision, prophecy about what's going to happen in the future. If you just stick to the law, stick with it. And that's what you need to do right now.
All right. Brush, without Yaba sort of shaming you about marital commitments and so on, where are you standing on Eric?
I mean, if we were to go by that logic, then this is a very abusive relationship. Even Stevie Wonder can see that things are going wrong right now. And it's not just 1 or 2 instances though, Mondi. I've been trying to ride out with this guy, but we've been getting battered in our own backyard by almost everyone in the top half of the table. Like, that's the one consistent thing in all of this. Like, we've become so used to just getting pammed. Like, what is the process? Like, he's been given all of the tools. This is a squad that's built in his image. He was part of the process in bringing these players in. We can't keep blaming the players. Like, the players that have been left here from previous regimes, they're here because he wants them here. And if he can't get a tune out of them, then that's quite damning. For me personally, I think it's inevitable. I think he's talking himself out of the job. And I'll probably give it 2 games, to be fair. The Aston Villa and Porto, and then the international break. Yeah, I think I would not be surprised at all if he goes.
Dora, where are you standing?
Well, I hope Omondi jumps out of that roller coaster because he would die along with Ten Hag on that roller coaster. And hopefully, you signed a prenup for that marriage because, I mean, it's a tragedy. He will take everything from you. Like he took away my joy from watching United in the last. I mean, to be fair, we kind of didn't have very much joy in the last 10 years watching United, but it's just in the last 2 seasons, it really stinks. As Brash said, I think the biggest, he made a lot of mistakes during his reign. Even that first, season when he accumulated the most points post Sir Alex Ferguson in the season. He still lost 7-0 to Liverpool, and he lost some games to City. Very, very huge results. We lost a lot of games against top flight clubs in the Premier League, which is, to me, you can say all you want against someone like Ole or maybe Louis van Gaal even, but against big teams they were always performing. This guy cannot even do that, and I think it's really, I think that ship sailed. To me, that ship sailed last Christmas, to be quite honest with you. But he stayed and we won the cup, which was great. But I think he was awarded for, I don't know what, for the cup. I mean, I think at the end of the day, if you look at the clubs, especially English clubs, I think you should always look at the at league position first. If he won the Champions League, okay, cool, and all that. But we saw previous managers in the history, winning those huge cups and then getting sacked because they ended up, 10th in the league or something like that. And I don't think he should have been immune to that. And I know it's easy to say, oh, get the manager out, he's that, but the players are throwing people under the bus. I don't believe these players throw the manager under the bus, in all honesty. I think they are playing for him. I truly believe that. I don't think any of the players yesterday gave up. I think that they are making unforced errors because they are either bad recruitment from Ineos and from the previous regime, or from Ten Hag, who wanted some of these players, or they're simply just not trained well enough to keep their positions and play his system the way in the best way they can. That's why they are constantly out of position. They are making mistakes. We are getting broken down by every single team in the Premier League except maybe Southampton, and even against them we were struggling at times. So it's just, I mean, they're losing 3-0 to Bournemouth at halftime. Like, what are we saying? It's getting, I mean, it's really ridiculous at this point, and I think it's time to go. I don't know, who are we going to get? Are we going to get interim Ruud? Maybe even Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Who knows with this club, or even Southgate? I'd read it, but it's just, I think his reign at United is done, and we should thank him for 2 cups and let him go. And that's all I'm going to say.
Kehinde, now your brother is recreating Thelma and Louise with him and Ten Hag driving off the cliff. Are you the Brad Pitt in this scenario? Are you in the car with them?
It's hard, man, because I said like a few weeks ago, give him till Christmas, then we could really evaluate it. Tottenham are good sides, and we didn't start the game well, and things like that happen, and we lost our heads a bit. But I can't it's like, I think for a lot of people, they're like looking at it and they're saying, well, it's been 2 years now and we're not seeing like a great style of football. It's not been great. You know, we get results sometimes, but it's not, even the cup final wasn't, obviously we were playing City, but it's not, we haven't been playing really, really well. So it's really difficult for me to say, because I don't want us to be in a position where we sack him and get some interim boss from somewhere who does quite well and then we give him the job. I think we need to like really have like a recruitment to say, what do we need in a manager, what philosophy we need, and someone's like ready made. There's no point sacking. I don't see a point of sacking him now, because he, you know, it's too early in the season. He's made all these signings. You've got to give them time to integrate into the team. Like Ugarte, like I wasn't like for that signing. I wanted someone like Adam Wharton, someone better on the ball. I don't think he's right, but I'm sure if you gave him time, he'll start to play a lot better. So I think give it till Christmas, let these players get integrated into the team, these new signings, then see where we're at. And, you know, if it hasn't improved since then maybe sack him. But we need to really think about who we're going to get in as a manager, not this interim stuff. Like, even if we have to buy Poch out his contract with USA, we need to really get someone who's ready-made. Like.
All right, good stuff. We're just going to look at the comments quickly, and then we're going to get stuck into it. We got Steph, who's saying players, bus, manager, repeat. Bart with a load of drivel. Big up Matty Bassett. Big G, nice to see you. We've got I Am Titanium in the house. We've got Andrew. We've got your biggest fan, Brush. It's We Deserve Better. And look, Kahinde, it's your biggest fan. It's Big G. What a great panel. Great cross-section of opinion. I've got a feeling it's going to be the Forbes brothers versus everyone else tonight. Should I show this one? I will. Kahinde, do you own a 7-inch record like your brother?
No.
Okay. Me neither. It's Matty Bassett. We've got Kieran here. We've got Stuart Marshall saying, sack a lot of them, play the same kids, same old shit, week in, week out. I'm done with it. And have we got anyone else? We've got Elite Baller who's popped in to say hello. And we've also got someone else who's popped in. It's your friend and mine. It's Mr. B. What's going on, Mr. B?
First things first, sound test. Am I crackling?
No, you're good.
Good.
Thank you. Wi-Fi. Am I all stiff?
It's hard to tell.
Get lost. Right. I think. Sorry about the delay, but I heard about Thelma and Louise. I'm just wondering which one of those beauties Mr. Older version of Juma is. To be fair, but yeah. Sorry for being late, Brush. Thank you for coming on. That's the one.
No worries,
Yeah.
Mr. B.
Yeah, sorry about that. I apologies.
Right, Mr. B, I don't know if it's been pointed out yet, but there is a gap in your wall above your right shoulder. Does this tell us? What does this tell us?
He fell off the wall like I fell off the wagon on Thursday, and I haven't been able to get back up there like Humpty Dumpty. I'm rolling around there on the floor with my big bald head. I'm hoping that my heart doesn't break. So yeah, he's off. He is off the wall. I'm yeah. Look, he's off the wall. All I'll say, he's off the wall.
Michael Jackson.
There you go.
Just be
All right, lads. Nice. Right, we're gonna have a thriller for you now. I was trying to remember the one about. Is there one where he like buys a monkey with Paul McCartney or something?
Say.
Yeah.
That's the one I wanted. Right, say. I want you to say. If like what is the problem at the moment with what's going on the pitch? Is it a poor system? Is it poor players? Is it poor motivation? Or is it something else? And whoever wants it, just take it and go with it. And everyone else interrupt when you want. You can just buzz in. Buzz.
I'm not going to say it's poor players. I'm quite happy with the players that we bought. I'm even more delighted with the players that we let go, especially the last transfer. Blew my mind, to be fair. I think it's system. I think the players have been coached long enough. And if it's a system that we as outside regulars maybe don't understand, I would have been hoping that it could have been something that the more technical among, obviously, on the panel and people out there in the wider world. And all we keep hearing is there's no system. I think there is a system. It's just wrong. It's wrong. So I think they follow him to an extent, but I think they followed him to the point where they no longer believe in anything that he's talking about or anything that he does. It gets to the stage where the self-motivation you have disappears, and the only thing you've got left is maybe the motivation of the person who's supposed to be leading you. And if he doesn't seem to be able to supply that, we see it. We talk about his lack of charisma. I'm not really into. I mean, look, if we were winning, it wouldn't matter if he had 2-word press conferences. To be fair, it comes down to results, and we're not getting them. And yeah, I think it's more to do with the manager and the system than the players. There is some trash in there. Let's not get it twisted. I still think maybe a couple need to be moved on, but not everything can be done in a transfer window. And it was a thing where after the final, you see the flaws. Of course you do, but you're in that that cup final winning bubble, and you hope it doesn't burst. But when reality does strike, I mean, we spoke beginning of the season, bath time, about him maybe learning from. And I know you said his Wilcox told him what team to pick. If he did, Wilcox was right, and Ten Hag maybe should have followed that. But I don't think it's maybe that far. But I think he's in trouble. I think he's played himself out of a job.
Does anyone want to hop on that?
Well, just to clarify, what the question is, what's the problem? You're saying,
Yeah.
well, what specifically is the problem? I want Brush, because I don't hear Brush that often. It's very rare he's on the show these days. I want Brush to take the floor.
Amondi, like I'm usually with you, like in terms of sacking managers, I'm not a fan of it. Whoever's there, we want them to succeed and do well. But where I fail to see where we go with this. And I've always said I'm quite patient as well. It's not about the losses, but it's the manner in which you lose when those losses occur. And what I've seen recently is just absolutely not acceptable. We're getting bopped off the park by almost everyone we play, especially in the top half of the table. Like, we played a Tottenham team missing their best player in Son, and they were better than us from the get-go, from the first minute. And if it wasn't for the woeful finishing of Timo Werner, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been 5 or 6.
But that's
We had
10
no
men.
answers. Well, you say that, but I don't think it would have made bugger all difference had Bruno stayed on. They were playing way better than we were, even with Bruno on the pitch.
So
Yeah, they were.
Clarify.
I mean, obviously, if you have a player less, it's going to open up the game a bit more.
And then what Mr. B was saying about tactically and that, like, if we look back to the Liverpool game, Casemiro had one of the most shocking performances I'd ever seen. But as much as people piled onto him, and it was a terrible performance, again, you have to look at the manager, because, the way he set up, it did not help him at all. He hung him out to dry.
How?
But to be honest, though, like, as bad as we played yesterday, we still had chances.
Exactly.
We did still have a lot of chances.
24 shots by Tottenham, 10 on target. We had 2 shots on target out of 10.
10 men.
We still, but we still had chances.
Yeah,
Even
but
What clear-cut chances did we have?
even when it was at 1-0, we still had chances. And even
There was the long ball from Onana to Rashford, but Rashford was offside anyway. There was the one ball into Garnacho,
Yeah,
which was
still had-
unlucky.
you
It
watched
wasn't
the
a great
game.
ball. Garnacho was probably the one guy who tried his best to do anything yesterday. Bless him. But it was a 1 against
You
11.
sorry to interrupt, but we're making judgments about Tottenham having a good start, and you're assuming that that would have been the theme for the whole game. I disagree. I think in a game this sort of level, the Premiership, we're going to get our chance. We're going to have a spell where we can get back into the game.
There was no assumption on Monday. We all watched the game.
No. I think from what you said, I think you were making an assumption that because we started badly, it would have continued that way, and I don't think that's entirely true. I think we could have got back into the game. What we've shown this season is that we can create chances. It's just finishing our dinner. We did a show before that, before the game, that's talking about the amount of chances that we are creating. We compared it with Arsenal, for example. At that time, we had created 56 chances this season compared to Arsenal's 34. Granted, Arsenal had 2 games where they had 10 men, so that might mess up the data or whatever. But it shows that we are competing and getting chances, just not finishing them off.
Yeah,
so
Xerxes had a really good chance, didn't he? Sorry, bro, but yeah, he did.
No, go ahead.
Yeah,
a reoccurring theme with Xerxes. He does really well with his link-up play and everything else, but he can't finish his dinner. But again, what do you expect when you bring in a player who scored 12 goals last season?
All right,
he's not prolific.
Dora, let me just say my piece, Dora, before I come to you, and Kahinde as well. And let me just say this. Right, so we got a problem. The problem is we're Man United. We ain't won a major trophy since 2013, whatever it is. There's nearly 11 years now. We've got managers coming in, Louis Van Gaal, whoever, you know who they were, and no formula has worked so far. So Ineos have come in. They've had a discussion. Now, if we're in Ineos having a discussion, and we've heard Ralph come in and say and observe everything and say, look, the club needs open heart surgery, turn things around. What's the best way to go forward? Do you go with the same strategy that's got us nowhere over the last 10 years? Or do you say, let's revamp things, let's empty the swamp, let's clear everything out, change the culture of this club? And to do that, we're going to have to take steps backwards and take an L for a while before we change that and go forward. There was a time after 1968, from 1958, the Busby Babes and all that kind of thing, great side, it dented because of the disaster. Then we came back, won the FA Cup, won the league, and won 1968. We were the first English side to win the Champions League or the European Cup at the time. After that, we went downhill. Bobby Charlton, Best, everyone just, Law ended up getting us relegated in the early 70s. So to rebuild, we had to come back, and then we became an FA Cup team until Fergie came. That was 26 years later. You know what I'm saying? Before we won a league, a 26-year gap. So it takes a long time to revamp things. We had a great era, and we just had a great era with Fergie. Now we're thinking, how do we get back to that? Time's moved on. So when you're having the discussion when Ineos comes in, you have to say to yourself, what are we going to do to make ourselves successful? Which is why they haven't sacked the manager yet. This is why Ten Hag can go out boldly after that Tottenham game and say, yeah, everything's cool. We're all right. We haven't had that discussion. We're all on board with one another. Because there's a strategy in place. Now, if you're not prepared to go with that and you want to wave the white flag now, what kind of supporters are you guys?
Well, Amonte, you're not going to provoke me because I think that I am a very good supporter of the club. As you said, I am firstly a Manchester United Football Club supporter. I'm not supporter of individual players. I'm not a Twitter stan who is, tweeting about the players thinking they know me, but they don't. They honestly don't care. And I'm not, a fangirl of, managers and all that. I don't care. I want my team to win. I get where you're coming from. I get that, sometimes you need to be down to go to the top. But you also need to understand that this is a modern era of football. And now we are seeing, for example, big clubs that were big 10, 15 years ago struggling right now. So, for example, you have Lyon in France, who were 10 years ago, 15 years ago, one of the best, French clubs. They were constantly, at the top of the league. They were better than, someone like Saint-Étienne, Monaco. They were better than Marseille, better than PSG before they did their revamp and Qatari and everything else. But they're not anymore. They purged the team and they lost the money, and now they are struggling, near the bottom of the table. And United at this moment in time cannot afford being in relegation or, constantly having bad results because, first of all, we financially wouldn't be able to sustain it, despite being one of the best, clubs in the world and all that. I just don't believe it. I think we are so deep in this money thing, sponsorship thing, all those things, and with the fans, that we need to be at least, in the top 4 or in the top 5 or whatever, at least compete for something. But we are not competing with anything. People are always comparing, Arteta, he got 5-6 seasons to steady the ship. It was different with Arsenal, because before that, what did they win? They win a cup. The last time they won the Premier League was 20 years ago. Of course, they are going to give it to a chance to Pep's disciple, and hope that something works. But he had some kind of fundamentals, even when they were losing to Brighton, and sometimes when West Bromwich Albion, when they were in the top flight of the team. But they were still having some fundamentals. You could still see some kind of progression. This guy, unfortunately, and I'm not saying that Ten Hag is a bad manager, because he did some things. He won some things. He won the leagues in the Dutch league, and he was a great manager for Ajax. But I don't believe that his system and the way he wants to play and the way he wants to be, and the way he's managing the team, because I'm hearing rumors of him being bad with the players. He's very strict, he's very woody, whatever. And I know you guys are going to say, but you cannot be friends with the players. I agree, but you need to ooze some kind of respect from those players. Doesn't matter who they are. You need to have some respect from them for this thing to work. And this guy doesn't have anything at this moment. I don't know why is he still in the job. And I get it. Same thing. It's always the same thing. We are, changing the managers like diapers or whatever. But I feel like in the last 10 years, for everything that everything good that we've done in the 20-something years in the Premier League, in the last 10 years, I think we've been punished. United have been punished enough with bad, bad acquisitions of the coaches and everything else. And I think he is another one. And I think we need to change him. And maybe we sign another one. He's going to be bad, but we need to rinse and repeat, because rinse and repeat is the way these days. You cannot have managers be here for 10 years and do absolutely nothing. He won 2 cups, great, but the Premier League form needs to be on top, and he didn't do it since his first season when the league was much worse. Now it's better. He's struggling against everyone, and that's my problem with him.
Sorry, Dora has made a good point that I wanted to touch on about Ten Hag, his man management skills, because I've got some insiders, so someone's told me, an insider, that Rashford hates Ten Hag. He doesn't like playing for him, and I think maybe he might be too strict, because if you look at Sancho, when he's gone on loan to Dortmund and Chelsea, he's always found good form. But under Ten Hag, it's like he's not playing for him. He's not performing. So I think he's got to find a way to kind of put his arm around the players, because apparently he's not one of these good man management players, man managers. He has man management skills are not that great. So you need to get players on your side. So that could be an issue with Ten Hag.
You touched on something quite important there. I think that's probably added to the fan fury at the moment. The fact that guys like Enzo Maresca, with no Premier League experience, who've come up from the Championship, who walked into an absolute mess because they've got 150 players on their books, and has managed to sort it out, and he's getting a tune out of what he's got.
Yeah.
So in comparison to someone who's been here going into his 3rd season with £600 million spent, questions need to be asked.
Yeah.
And that's rough.
Well, you go ahead, Mr. B.
Sorry. Yeah, that's where I think nothing else can be said. I mean, maybe I said I'll go from I'll just have to look at it from my point of view. I think it only became an issue maybe halfway through the season, last season for me, about style of play, because I'll be honest, I'm not saying I wasn't interested, but when you look at maybe the injury side of it, that was always the excuse that was used. We all tried that out. We haven't had our players, we've only been able to pick from 11 players. He's had a full squad, bar Luke Shaw, who doesn't play anyway, and Malacia, who hadn't played. You know, the only one really missing is Yoro.
And I'll tell you what, Mr. B, the left back situation, we all knew about this. We were here in the summer talking about what we needed in the summer. They know the injury issues with Malacia and Shaw. Why did they not go out and get a left back?
So
Who knew it would be stupid to go into a season without an out-and-out left back?
So are you? Is this? So this that part of it is an Ineos one.
It's probably a group thing, innit? It's a group thing. And listen, I'm not even Ten Hag out, but what I'm saying is he's putting himself in a position through stubbornness and naivety where he's going to get himself sacked, because I don't see how this is going to turn around. I thought he turned the corner at the end of last season, despite the poor performances, you know, Brighton, and then obviously the cup win where he shored things up, and I thought he had learned his lessons. But this season, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Right, I've got a question for you then, Brushy. Last year, the player of the year was Diego Dalot. Dalot is being used at left back at the moment. We've shipped out Wan-Bissaka and got in Mazraoui, which most people, I think, believe is an upgrade. But it speaks to me of poor recruitment to put our best performing player out of position this year. Like, what does everyone think about the signings? Is this more like Ineos than Ten Hag? Like, we've bought up half of Holland, and yet we haven't got any of the good Dutch players.
Stop before you ask the question. We deserve better. Said we haven't heard anything from Bath Time. There's been many topics that you've bypassed. Why don't you give your point, Bath Time? Why do you make your point instead of trying to play the straight man in this comedy?
Oh, that's such an accusation. Well, first of all, because we've got like 3 guests on that I thought that should have the floor.
You can summarize. You're good with wordplay. You just summarize.
Can I just say something? They've been on here more than one occasion. A guest is when you come on once.
Yeah.
These people know all the StreamYard buttons. They're walking around the house, you know, in their underpants. So they're not guests anymore. You understand? So no, Bath Time. You treat them with the same disrespect.
With no respect.
With the same disrespect that you treat me and Nabba, please. No favoritism out here. Thank you very much.
All right, fair enough. Look, I've been very clear on where I've stood on Erik Ten Hag from the first game he played. He was not my cup of tea because of how far up he pushed his fullbacks. We lost a lot of subs last summer when I said I thought he'd be gone by Christmas, and everyone called me a negative Nancy. I think that I saw something good on Match of the Day the other day, which is Erik Ten Hag a tactical manager or a motivator? And I think from what we've seen, he's probably neither. Like his ability to handle the squad, Ronaldo, De Gea, like people that you could say are legends of the club, arguable, but like they've played an important part in our history. They left with a very, very bad taste in their mouths. We've seen like what's gone on with sort of Rashford, Casemiro, even Anthony to a degree. So I don't think you could say that he's a motivator. Tactically, I look at the things that he's doing, and you can't be doing it with the players that we've got. Lisandro Martinez has got short little legs. Ugarte, short little legs. And you're asking them to cover enormous spaces. Kobe Mainu is one of the most unathletic players in our squad. He's fantastic, but he's not an athlete. And the workload that is placed on him in a 4-4-2 chain press is absolutely wild. So I personally think that like Ten Hag, it's not that he just hasn't learned anything since he's come here at all. We've seen no real improvements like consistently. We've seen a huge amount of lack of goals, and the only creativity he shows is his absolutely absurd press conferences. So that is where I stand.
If you didn't know already.
Yeah. But recruitment, boys. Talk to me about recruitment.
To start off with the Dalot thing, yeah, I think it's silly to start him at left back. Like you said, he was one of our most improved players last season, and even in his preferred position at right back, I thought there was issues. So to put him at left back and expect anything different, I don't know what they were thinking. They had all summer to go and recruit a left back, even on loan, even. because Shaw can't make it for a year, and Malacia, who knows what's happened to him.
Yeah, in regards to Dallo, I don't think it's an issue with him playing left back. He played left back when he was on loan at AC Milan. I think he's like Cancelo. He's like a 2-footed fullback. I don't think that's the issue. And before the Tottenham game, I thought he was playing well. I thought he's been one of our best players this season. It's not someone like when I think last year he was putting Dallo right back and Lindelof left back. I didn't understand that. But I mean, yeah, I don't think that's too much of an issue. I just think I just want to see these players. I think someone like Agate, he's someone we've recruited. I didn't agree with it at all, but he's going to take time. He's going to need a lot of work because
he's a player that I really like, but I had questions as to how he would utilize him.
Well, I have questions that why PSG would sell him after one season.
I mean, that happens, right? Like, not everyone fits what you're trying to do, and good players move after a season. That happens.
Yeah, but my thing is, I just think stylistically, because he doesn't seem like the most mobile.
He's not stylistically, like, he's an old school DM that likes to get stuck in. He'll put, and make short 5-yard passes. But then that's where I thought, how does that fit in with what Ten Hag wants to achieve? Well, surely he wants the ball progressor. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand why he didn't go grab Ryan Gravenberch for the past 2 years.
Yeah. Well, I think we tried to make a bid for Gravenberch, but I don't know why we didn't get him. But I think with Agate, it's like, for me, he's a bit limited, and especially coming into Premiership. I mean, it's hard. The pace of the game is so different.
You could tell he was a bit wet behind the ears when we watched back that the Van de Ven run.
Yeah,
because once Bruno and Rashford make the initial mistakes and Van de Ven's on his run, Mazraoui's there, De Ligt's there, but Ugarte has to be the one that closes down and stops him from getting into the box.
But this is what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. I feel that he will, like Amrabat towards the end of the season, he will start to pick it up and he will improve. But I just think he's just limited as a player, because what does he do? He wins the ball and he passes it like 5 yards at the most.
Is that limited? It's
the
role.
It's not a limitation. That's what he specializes in.
Right.
No,
that is his. That's what I'm wondering.
It's not going to be effective if he can't really cope with the pace of the Premiership. He might.
Yeah, but how is anybody going to know if he can cope if they don't throw him in? You know what I mean? We called for him to be thrown in straight away because we had. He's not as slow as Casemiro. We're saying Casemiro's got no pace, so the person who replaces him, we now buy. The person who replaces him is now quicker than him, and probably a little bit less disciplined. No,
Mr. B. I'm not saying he shouldn't play. I'm saying that we're talking about the recruitment from Ten Hag, and I'm saying that was a bad.
Why are you saying it's Ten Hag recruitment and not Ineos recruitment? Because Ten Hag, they all have to agree, and it sounds like Ten Hag was pushed into this Agate signing more than him, pursuing it like maybe a Xerxes or the De Ligt style signing. So,
and what we mustn't do is misprofile players, because that's what I think we're going to get into with Agate. We're going to expect things from him that's not part of his game, and we're going to, look up on him negatively for that.
Yeah. And you got to think Casemiro. That was a panic buy, wasn't it? Because we were after De Jong and we didn't get him, and it was like Real Madrid were like, well, Casemiro is available. We're like, oh, we need to get someone. So, and it wasn't good to pay like 60 million for 30-year-old. Wasn't wise. It was like
on 300 grand a week, and offer him a 5-year contract.
Exactly.
Do you say Agate was a panic buy? We've been running him down the whole summer.
No, this is what I'm saying. That it obviously wasn't. They've obviously identified him as the guy. But I'm like, if PSG are getting rid of him after one season, you have to ask these questions.
Right. If you know he's trash and he doesn't play in the system that you want him to play in, I think it's a great move by PSG. It shows big club mentality. You know what I mean? If we had done that with some of the players who we knew after the first year were going to be no good, we would be all right.
Di Maria moved on from us to PSG after one season. It wasn't because he was trash.
To do with the manager. We knew Di Maria proved himself at Real Madrid, but that was to do with the manager. So why it didn't work for him.
Casemiro did at Real Madrid.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, I just would have preferred a different type of profile player, like, because the modern CDM is good on the ball and progressible and play through the lines and things like that. and he just I just don't think he's the right style. I don't
This stuff annoys me, you know, the modern game. Like everyone's trying to be like Pep, but they're not Pep. This is how we ended up in a situation where we've got an absolute bell-ending goal.
Oh, I agree with that one.
Yeah, that's
Can
this is
I
another
jump
one
in?
going on
Can
now.
I just jump in quickly?
Go on, then.
I'm going to read from a source here. This
Not
is
the
from,
Bible, please.
Yeah,
Is it the rod of correction again?
yeah, it's a rather correction from Mr. B. Repent, Mr. B. Okay, so here's the fight. This is from November 2023, sorry, and it's about the 9 points about recruitment. First one: sign players for the club, not for the manager. Second point: sign players invested in the club as much as, if not more, than their national team. Third one: personality to match performance. This is what they're saying here. The Fernandez prototype, which means United become a retirement home for players like Schweinsteiger, Cavani, Zlatan, and all that kind of thing. So it's got to be about an age restriction.
Where's this from?
I've got this from Manchester Evening News from 2023. Leadership characteristics. We need leaders because they mentioned here Wan-Bissaka, Van der Beek. They're not really leaders at our club. Get the finished article or close to it. So if you're buying players under at a certain age, try and get them where they're 23, which we did with the 5-point plan in June. We got Palestri. Okay, we said get the finished article or someone close to it. Palestri is someone who's not close to the finished article, so he was messed around, sent on loan. Now he's left the club, for example. So we're getting players now 23 years old, like Agate, finished article or close to it. Have a specialist role, but adept in other roles to allow for tactical fluidity.
Oh,
We got you. We got you.
Are you okay?
That means, so have a specialist role, but adept in other roles to allow for tactical fluidity.
Fluidity.
Yeah. So that means players that can play in different positions and able to do that, like Dalot, for example, even though we didn't sign him just now. And just come in here. And those are the points. So that's quite sensible. Like I'm going back to, it's not about what we think, it's what the board think about to make a successful club, a rebuild. We're not playing Championship Manager here, where you can just let AI get the best players and let AI develop and do it yourself. It takes a long time to do this. So I think they've done well. You asked about the transfer policy and the recruitment. I think the players we brought in are close. 23 years old. We've got Xerxes, right age. He looks like someone who can develop and blow up. Agate, same thing applies to him. So this window we just had, I think the identity of these players ticks the boxes that Ineos wants. So I'm happy with that. It's just that don't expect too much too soon. We're judging Xerxes. I've heard a comment about Xerxes on the show today about, oh no, he's not finishing. Well, let him develop and understand that as a fan, and don't be going there waving the white flag so soon. And understanding this is the policy, this is what we want to do. Let's encourage these players and let them develop as supporters of a football club, rather than just expecting to be eating on the big boys' table every year. It's not going to happen. Let's build to it, because sometimes when we earn success, and we're on our face right now, when we do finally earn success, it's going to mean so much more to us, like it did in '99 when Dora was crying, when Mr. B was blowing bubbles out his nose of excitement, and everyone was delighted because it had been so long since we won a European Champions League, So I think it's a project we have to get behind, and I'm happy with the recruitment side of things, especially with the identity of players that we brought in this window.
I agree with the players that you brought in. Xerxes, I think, has improved us. I think on the board we may well be better, but off the board is still the issue. I mean, we got run through like a train. It's a 24. Those are the numbers from last season. And that's the worry that I have now. Maybe the players were, up until a certain extent, did back him. But if you as a player know how Tottenham play, we as fans know how Tottenham play, and he's put out a system that maybe they all, not say they all disagree with, but you have doubts about. As soon as that first goal is gone in, or the first chance is taken against you, it puts doubts in your mind. And that's where I think yesterday's result was the one where you could see that they've just said, oh shit, we're done out here. As I said, for Van der Ven to run through, I'm not saying Van der Ven isn't fast, but there's no way I believe a man should be running, professional footballer should be running past 7 professional footballers. And listen, it's twice. It's 2 weeks, it's 2 games in a row that we've seen it happen. So I can't see how that can be a system thing. But then guess what? We might play Porto on Thursday and then somebody does it again. In which case then it's 100% of his system thing and a Ten Hag failure in not being able to stop. I don't understand.
Talk about recruitment, Mr. B.
Yeah, talk about recruitment. Yeah, I love the players. I like the players we bought. I think they have improved our team on Monday. But I think they have actually improved the team. You look at Xerxes and when the Mad plays, I know it's only 2 players, but we increase the possession. Xerxes keeps everything fluid, keeps everything moving. I don't understand. I said we called it at the beginning of the season. If the system worked, we would be scoring goals.
Yeah.
I don't think, we talk about the press and we talk about the creation. That's all well and good. But as you said, if you're not finishing your dinner, then it's like it's a waste. So,
outside of a left back, I don't think I have any issues with that transfer window as a whole. I think for a first window under Ineos, I think they did quite well. I quite like the profile of Xerxes. A lot of things he brings and adds to the game. Goals just aren't one of them. And I don't think it's waving the white flag to point out his obvious flaws. In this league, it's very unforgiving. But given the chances that we've seen him miss, a few of those need to hit the back of the net at this level.
Dora, we haven't heard from you.
Look, recruitment. I agree with guys. I like the idea of Zirkzee. I just want him to score those chances that he missed in the last few games. I mean, it's not even like he's shooting from outside of the box. Every single chance that he had, it was inside of the box. This is where strikers, I don't care if they are deep lying forwards as Football Manager, I'm saying this from Football Manager lingo, or he is, playing with other 3 midfielders in a diamond or whatever. He is on the pitch a striker by definition. In these situations, he needs to score a goal. I'll wait and see, but he looks very stiff to me. He looks very stiff, and hopefully we see more movement of him.
From what I've seen, Dora, it would probably aid him to play him alongside Højlund.
Really?
But then, you'd have to switch things up totally because he keeps dropping so deep into the 10 and bringing others in. I think he would do well with a poacher inside the box to play off of, but then we'd have to change so much to accommodate that.
He described himself as a 9.5 before coming to us. He said he's not a proper out-and-out striker. But I think what it was, we needed someone a bit different from Højlund, who's just kind of just runs.
But I think the problem is, though, at the moment, he takes up spaces with Bruno as well, and there's a bit of miscommunication there. Yeah. And we saw it even in the first game against Fulham. Like, he's not in the usual pockets where you would expect a striker.
Well, yeah. And they were talking about Bruno yesterday, about him maybe dropping a bit deeper and helping out a bit.
But why would you think that he would be good as a number 10 when most of his best work has been with his back to goal?
Who are you throwing that at?
To Brush.
Just because of his strength and the way he brings other players into the game, and he keeps dropping back so deep.
Yeah, but no, we haven't really. What we've seen him do, I disagree with him and Bruno being so like playing in each other's space because they're quite clearly trying to spam third man combinations, and Xerxes is the table in that combination. You're not going to get that from Rasmus Højlund. He doesn't have the feel for the ball to do it, which is one of the reasons why I question the signing of Xerxes, because if he is our number 9, if he's going to be playing as the number 9, whether it's a false 9 or not, and the other bloke is Rasmus, who can't do any of the stuff that he can do. That seems to be poor recruitment to me, because it means that you have two different systems for two different players, and you've just got two centre forwards. So every time one of them comes in, you have to change the system, which we saw against Brighton, Southampton. Like when the subs come on and Xerxes goes off, we have to play a completely different way. So I think that Xerxes, you need two players that can do the same kind of thing for me in a system-based team. Kehinde, hit me.
No, because it's like when we just watch the Euros, it's quite comparing Harry Kane and Ollie Watkins, two different qualities that they bring in. You know, people were complaining about Kane like during the game, oh, he's not stretching the team enough, bring on Watkins, and Watkins does something different. But you can't just have the same players doing all the same thing. So Xerxes got his qualities, Højlund's got his qualities, and for different types of games, you might need different types of strikers to break the team down.
He gives me Bobby Firmino vibes. The trouble is we don't have a Mane or Salah to complement that.
I'm trying to think like style-wise who he reminds you of. I don't know. Like it's a bit like Sheringham, but like not.
It's a bit like Zlatan, Batistuta, and Ronaldinho.
No.
We are not going through that again.
Thiago Motta's words, not mine.
Yeah.
He's high from the money that he got from United, or Bologna got from United. I mean, you could, try, Højlund as a right winger. Let's try him there. He doesn't have to be a striker. He's very good with, with space in front of him. But I don't believe that will happen, unfortunately. And now we are in predicament where as you guys said, there is a problem with recruitment. I'm still trying to judge Xerxes because he's here. I'm trying to see what he can do in the future. But let's just, put these players, year's players at the side. My question is, before this transfer window under Ineos, apparently Ten Hag was, he had, a big influence in the players that he would sign. And for example, last season, in last transfer window, I cannot tell you which player actually performed that we signed. Onana is throwing stinkers. Johnny Evans.
Shout out to Johnny.
Let's say that's not his signing. Let's say he's an old Man United side.
Yeah.
No, but you're right, Dora, because we were linked with. Do you remember the Arnautovic saga?
Yes. Oh my God.
And Weghorst.
Yes, that as well.
Xerxes scores less than both of them.
Yeah, that's amazing.
The thing is with Xerxes, though, I know that he will come good because I'll be more worried if he wasn't getting chances, but he is getting chances. So that
is the one positive, the fact that he's getting into those positions and getting those shots off.
Positions. Like I said, it takes time for these players to integrate, come in the team. Like people don't remember, and you probably think, no way. But when Jaap Stam came to United, he didn't start well. He's a bit and all that, but
Norvidic
after a month or two. Oh my God, So you got to give these players time. It's like I don't like Ogate's profile, but I think in time he will come good. I think he will, but it's gonna take
under this manager, under this system.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see, and not yes.
Give it.
I said no. Kehinde said maybe. He's on the fence, and Yaba said yes. I don't believe that he will get good because even yesterday, I'm seeing him on No Man's Land. He, gets out of the game after 1-2 pass between Madison and Mickey Van de Ven, and to me, that's just it stinks. Before even before we signed him, we saw that he has problems with transitional defense, and but we said enough about Ugarte. I'm just curious, except Johnny Evans, who is a player in the last transfer window that actually performed. Onana is sometimes good, sometimes he's not. He's more throwing stinkers than not. You have, oh my God, I forgot. Lisandro Martinez was signed the transfer window before, if I'm not mistaken. It was Mount. He's not playing. He's constantly injured. Okay.
Onana.
Onana, dobro, okay.
Dobra.
Who?
Malacia was there before, wasn't he? The season before.
Oh my God, I'm
Johnny
having a
Evans.
mare right now.
Who
Rasmus.
did we sign?
Rasmus Højlund. Yeah, I think that's all.
Yeah,
And he got Mainu. He promoted Mainu from the academy. He started. He started more games. When he came in, we saw Martinez, who had good 20 games for us. After that, he got injured. After that injury, he's a shell of himself. He's not the same. Casemiro, I cannot say that he is his player, but once again, shell of himself. Good start of the career at Manchester United. After that, he lost his legs, or he simply cannot follow the system that Ten Hag wants to play. And now we are in a predicament where we signed at least. I'm just throwing the number out there, at least 10 players, and 80% of them are not performing. And to me, that is a recruitment problem. That is, of course, and people are going to say, oh, but that's why we need to get rid of the players that are not how do you say it, they're not good at their jobs. This is not another Woodward, Murto, Matt Judge or whatever, Matt Hargreaves or whatever his name was, a thing. This is Ineos thing. But I mean, they are signing players thinking that this is good for the system. So where is the problem? Is it the manager's problem? Maybe they took his input. They obviously wanted Ugarte even in July. We signed him at the end of the transfer window. We are, he obviously wanted Zirkzee because that's his boy. He's Dutch. He wants to play the way his team wants to play. He fits his system on paper. And then who else this season? Maz, his ex-player. De Ligt, his ex-player. So who is it? Is it again Ineos? Is it again Ten Hag? I just believe that after he got his extension, said, okay, we are going to have your input. You will help us with your recruitment, blah, blah. And I think they made a huge mistake with that. If you're going to come into the club, buy 25% of the shares and say, we will change the footballing part of the everything, then you need to sit down and say, okay, we are going to identify how are we going to play. We are going to identify how we're going to recruit players. And to me, at this moment in time, it feels that even the transfers, even the players that played very well in the previous clubs, they are underperforming. It's like the soul is out of, United, Old Trafford sucked out the soul of them. Sucked out their skill. And to me, that's a huge problem that needs to be solved as well. And I think Ineos, everyone got hyped up about Ineos. Oh my God, everything is going to, come on. We are not in third grade. We are not 8-year-olds. Just, sit down and watch what is happening. It's not going to, it's not good. It's not good. And it smells at Old Trafford. It stinks and it's pissing me off. It's pissing me off.
Right. When let me just make a point. When on Bullseye, remember Bullseye? They said, here's what you could have won, or here's what you could have signed. So if we looked at the players that we wanted, when Ten Hag first came in, he wanted Frankie de Jong. He wanted De Ligt. He wanted Gravenberch. He wanted some top players. Couldn't get them. So now we're at a point where we're trying to buy players, like I read out, that fit in the system and fit the identity of what we need to do to go forward as a club. So blaming the recruitment because people haven't performed yet is it's futile, because we know they're not ready to go. They're close to it, but you have to give them more time. We're 5 games into the season and we're having an inquest meeting here, around the round table. We've actually got some troubleshooters in, like Brush, to come in and stir things up, when really we're 5 games into the season. We've lost 3 games. Granted, it's not good enough, but I still think we have to have an understanding of where we're at realistically. Come
13th in the table, Amondi, with a -3 goal difference.
After 5 games.
With a -3 goal difference. Do you think that's acceptable after 3 years and 600 million?
I hear that, but we have to understand about where we're at the moment, what is realistic and what is achievable this season, and understand that we might not be winning the league, we might not be getting top 4.
Listen, bro, we were here in the summer talking about our expectations. I think my expectations were very realistic. All I asked for was better performances and a positive goal difference. I wasn't asking for no title challenge.
So what? Okay, so after 5 games, you're throwing everything out now. You're
not throwing everything out. It's just that questions have to be asked. Like, where do we go from here? How does he?
Yeah, and we're asking the question. So my question to you, Brush, with all this is what, like, on a real, what do you think that Ineos are discussing about getting this club? If first of all, do you think Ineos got the best intentions of the club at mind? To have
of course, they have the best intentions of the club at heart.
Have you got the best intention for the club? Have they brought in the right people, the staff that we've seen come into the club to do the right thing? Are they qualified to do the right job to make this club great?
Absolutely not.
Well, apart from one guy, Dan Ashworth, obviously, who rejected you and made you feel discarded like Super Ted.
Yeah.
And so, have we got the right?
Listen, they've made wholesale changes, right, up above in terms of structurally and in the backroom staff. Obviously, it's going to take time. All I'm questioning is the way in which we're getting dismantled is totally unacceptable.
On the pitch.
Yes.
Which leads to the manager, the head coach, for you.
I mean, surely that the buck stops with him, no? Because anytime anything goes wrong, you can't really get rid of half the squad, can you? So that's who you have to aim your questions at.
Like we said there, Brush, you're making it simple. You're saying, bam, 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 you agree, that's okay. But what we're seeing on the pitch, not good enough. And someone's got to be accountable for that.
And like I say, I've not been manager out. I've never been yelling for him to get sacked. But questions have to be asked because this is not acceptable. You can't be getting pammed at home time and time again by anyone half decent that we come up against.
Do you think so? Okay. Honest, okay, better. Okay, BT, go on.
No, you go, Dora.
No, I just wanted to ask: can you imagine Ten Hag coming after that Spurs game at half or even at halftime, and going full, Balkan, and started cursing their mothers, their fathers, their grandmas, their families, and the sun, the sky, and everything, and try to kick them up their ass and fire them up for the next. Can you imagine him going into that locker room, telling cussing out the players, trying to motivate them? Well,
I don't think you have to do that.
In this day and age, it's probably different, isn't it, Dora? I mean, they'll probably,
No.
Right,
I don't think it is. I think that like you've had managers like Arsene Wenger over the years that are sort of are calm and like collected and so on, but there's always been someone that does fire people up in the dressing room. The thing is that in my experience, the best people to do that are the senior players. And that is the issue, I think, that is at United. It's not necessarily up to Ten Hag to go full Jason Statham, smashing things around. Like it's like it could be Rude's job or someone. But the point is, there's got to be someone that does it there. And for me, you're looking at the senior players in the locker room. There's just not that spirit there of determination that there should be in every other one. So for your point, Dora, I don't think it's necessarily up to him, but someone has to. Like it used to be, like of all people, it used to be Ashley Young. I think that used to go mental and get everyone going.
Yeah. So you're saying
this
that
day and
the
age,
captains
they'll
and the
probably
senior
complain.
players. Yeah.
Sorry, Dora. I was just going to say, in this day and age, they'll probably take to like Instagram or Twitter and complain and put an article out about it, which doesn't help anyone.
A lot of people were talking about Eriksen's interview about saying 20 about the other team, they wanted it more. And everyone was like, wow, we shouldn't have said that. But he's being honest. That's what he felt like.
It's not the first time we've heard that, though. I just got a stat. I just got a stat sent to me. This is for you, Yaba. The points that we've accumulated over the last 15 games, would you say that's a good representation of
progress?
Of progress from a manager.
From a manager,
yeah.
There's other factors. I can't answer that with a yes and no.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you a stat, and then we'll put it out there. Everton in the last 15 games have taken 2 points more than we have,
including points
Great.
deduction.
I would like to hope not.
Yeah.
I would like to hope not. We've got 19, they've got 21. Could you explain why you would? I mean, we classify as Dyche and especially Everton as a relegation team. You know, we played 15 games and our last 15 games and we've taken less points than them, and you still feel that we should be progressing with the manager that we had. I mean, the games that we've played this season, who have we played of any
Liverpool.
Just Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool aren't the only team that we've lost to.
So yeah, I agree with you, Mr. B. That's not acceptable. I'm not going to sit here and say that's acceptable. It's far from not acceptable. When I look at Everton's squad, look at our squad, I think we should be performing a lot better than that. A lot of people say if another manager comes in with the same players, they'll be able to get more of a tune out of them. So what's it? There's something missing. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming, if I'm guessing and speculating here, that it's something to do with the respect. But I'm torn on this one because I think if you're going to change the whole culture of a club, you don't stop it halfway and then dash the manager out. Because then that leans towards the players again. Say, you see, because I still think there's a clique there, or there's a few players there that still maybe not the right ones, but wrong uns in a way. And he's got rid of Sancho, he's got rid of Ronaldo. Granted, I think in hindsight that's a good thing to do because I believe in changing the culture of the club so we can get to winning again. But sometimes you have to make sacrifices like that, and we've seen that in the past with Man United. To be successful, you have to dash out certain man. You know, and Mr. B, your manager, you know, you played your best player on Saturday, you played your best player in goal, and he brought him on the pitch, and suddenly he gets 2 assists and looks $1 million, you know, because he made him hungry somehow. You got a tune out of him. You know what I'm saying? And we played against him on the Sunday, and Zico had him in his pocket. But anyway, that's got nothing to do with it. You know, Zico, you can let him out now. But my point is, yes, Mr. B, Everton shouldn't be having more points than us. We do need to address that. And as Brush keeps saying, questions need to be asked. And this is why I'm just posing the question that maybe we keep him for now because they've got a plan to get rid of. Maybe they're talking about certain man that they can't get rid of at the moment, who's still a disruption in the club. I'm not throwing out any names, or anyone like that. But I think there's certain players there because Makinde said earlier, doesn't get on with the manager. The manager should rule, and you get rid of that guy. Zico, Daryl from Woodlands, he was a disruption last year. We got rid of him. You understand what I'm saying? I don't give a damn. Daryl, you want something to say to my face, and I'll bust it.
Yeah, but stop arguing with Daryl. He's not here. My question to you is: do you know what the sunk cost fallacy is?
You're going to tell me now, aren't you?
That's so threatening. Yes, it means like where you keep throwing good money after bad. So you've put so much time and effort into something that even though it's not the right thing to carry it on, because of the cost that you've put into it, you keep going.
Disagree. I know where you're going with that then.
What I'm saying is that for me personally, I think that Ineos have invested so much in Ten Hag that they're going to be proper stubborn. Like Ratcliffe doesn't become the richest man in Britain's history ever by not sticking to his guns and following his gut and stuff like that. But I think what you're trying to tell me is that it's not the sunk cost fallacy because the people that we've got in are good. It's that he needs time to get out Bruno and Rashford in particular. But Bruno's been given a massive new contract. So
maybe
how does that stack up?
I'll speculate. Maybe it's not Bruno then. Maybe it's someone else.
I think Rashford's like dead wood, honestly. Like I think he's at a standstill. I just from the time that he broke in the team, I would have thought that he would progress into a much better player than he is now.
Yeah.
He's too inconsistent. You can't have one good game and then 2 bad games. Like that's all you're getting from him. And I just think he needs a new challenge in his career. He needs to go somewhere else and have a fresh start.
Mm.
He's not cut out for the Premier
Don't
League.
you've done
is he?
well as a club. Took a stance and saying we are changing the culture. We didn't sort of bow down to Greenwood, that whole saga. We didn't say, "Oh, welcome back" and try and get over it. I mean, Eric Cantona kung fu kicked a guy, and that's promoting violence. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we let him back. Do you understand what I'm saying? But now we're like, no, we're not going to have that. Whatever's happened with that player, he's not coming back. We don't want that culture around here. Don't bring that riffraff and that kind of bad mind culture around here. That's what we're saying to everybody in the club. So if you don't like it, then you know where to go. Up yours. We're not having
Why
it.
is Rashford still here?
Because maybe he's on a big contract and we can't. He's a darling of the crowd.
And he's seen as a role model with all
They
this.
have to negotiate it. Yeah, he played a
After,
good part.
after Belfast, like lying to your teammates and your manager
He
after
apologised.
going out on the piss. Like, I mean, like Fergie, yes, he'll tolerate a maverick Frenchman Jackie Channing it up at Selhurst Park, but he would never tolerate that ever. Like, and also when you talk about changing the culture, I mean, getting rid of Ronaldo, that man is just about winning. That seems to me that they seem to be conflicting.
Yeah, but he was no good for the club half time. We talk about him being a winner. We saw him play. The man couldn't run no more. He couldn't
He scored
run.
25 goals, didn't he?
What first season? Casemiro played like prime Jesus in his first season. But it is what it is. He was done. We saw him play. There's no way. I'll be blinded by our memory of what Ronaldo did for us as we at that first season. The second season, he stank of shit.
Like, I agree. I still think it was the correct signing because it's genuinely post Fergie. That and the cup final and Ronaldo at Newcastle are two of my favourite memories. But do you remember what he was being toxic about? He was talking about like how the kids won't listen to him, how the training facilities aren't good enough, like all these things that like we kind of say a lot. Like, and he was I remember when we went 1-0 down to Brentford. He wasn't worried. He was like, lads, come on, let's get up and do this. We're not out of the game. And I think that it was such a shame that he left the way he did.
You can't get away as a player with doing something like no player is bigger than the club. You can't get away with criticizing the inside of the club or things that's going on in training and still be playing, because if you let things like that slide, it's just going to get worse. You know, because you could think he could say it all the time, and then they're going to be like, "Who's running the club?"
To be honest, I think that whole mess was a creation of those in charge running the club. I think both him and Eric were promised different things, and Cristiano probably saw that interview as the only way that he could leave the club.
Yeah,
Fergie wouldn't have stood for that. He wouldn't have. Like
Fergie also adjusted his attitude towards certain players depending on what they offered, like the example of Cantona. 5 out of those 4 seasons, we won the league, and then when we didn't win the league, it was when he was suspended.
yeah. But
And
Ronaldo
Fergie used to criticise Rooney when he was actually criticising Ronaldo.
Rooney, Ronaldo, Anderson, all of those boys were up to all sorts, but Fergie made exceptions at the right times.
The bottom line is Fergie cannot be criticised here because he won things. So the psychology of being a manager, managing a big 25-man squad and getting everything right and pushing everyone's buttons and knowing how to get the best out of people, that is an art. And especially in this era, Fergie might not be able to challenge these guys the way he used to challenge people back in the day. So
no, but Amondi, over the duration of his management, he changed his style according to each generation.
for sure.
Like some of what Ronaldo and those guys got away with, Giggsy and Sharpie couldn't get away with.
Yeah, I agree. But
Rio Ferdinand had like Rio's World Cup wind-ups on the television.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
We were winning, but we're still winning titles. So he's got to be allowed to manage it his way. Things have changed now. He can come in now. He would just be a head coach. He would have to follow the policies of Ineos and whatever they want, and meet with someone like Kieran McKenna, Wilcox, and all these guys who he battled with in '95 for Blackburn, for example, and respect these guys. Could he cope with that? He'd want to run things the way he feels he knows how to run a football club. But things have changed. So Eric Ten Hag is communicating well with Ineos. They're asking him to deliver. He's going to feed back certain things that he knows from the changing room about his players, what's going on, and what needs to happen over the process to get a winning mentality back. I think we know at Ajax, the way they do things, with Dora, you can back me up on this because you've like with Dynamo and all these clubs as well. They have a different strategy. So Ten Hag's coming from a place in Holland and at Ajax especially that have got a strategy. And Zico, you've been to Ajax as well. You can talk on this, where they bring in young players, hungry young players. They play, they perform, and then at 23, if you're good enough, you get a move abroad, and that's it. That's the end of you. But we've got opportunity to change that now, where you can get rid of the old players, bring these young players, work with them, and talk to them a certain way. Because I think maybe it's the tone or the way he talks to these players, like he used to talk to the youngsters at Ajax, that is not coming off or not coming over with the pros that they have in the Premier League. So it's culturally an issue. Does he need to change? No, because he's a football manager. He's just trying to get the best out of them. So it's going to take another few years, I believe, before we get successful. Ajax strategy, that's where he's coming from. Dynamo, Croatia, Dynamo, all these clubs you have in Zagreb, sorry. It's a similar thing. If a manager comes over from there, he's gonna have to adopt these youngsters and talk to them and get them playing. Dora.
Yeah, but I mean, he obviously didn't adapt, right? I mean, he came to United. Erik ten Hag came to United and said, I cannot replicate the Ajax thing because this is a different club. And I agree partially because United are, yes, we are developing youngsters. That's our tradition and that's all great. But, on the other side, you have this club, competing with best, clubs in the world in England, right? And in the Champions Leagues and all that. And I think that he bit of far more that he can chew. Unfortunately, I don't think that those are the same situations. Unfortunately, I mean, I get where you're coming from. I get that, he could, maybe procure some of the talent and, talk to them and, carry that experience from Ajax and, Dinamo Zagreb, for example, if someone comes from there and, instill something, but it's tough today. It's tough. I think this is where, he had a chance to do it. I think he made sure that Garnacho and someone like Menu started, coming into the team. Collier, we are seeing more of Collier this season as well. We saw him at least, more of him. I think that's all great, but in this day and age, who is a youngster? Especially at United. Even Rasmus Højlund, I would say he's not considered a youngster because we paid 70 million for him. Right?
Johnny Evans.
So Johnny Evans looks like the best youngster in the team. But yeah, I think that's good in theory, but I think it's tough to replicate it at the club of the size as Manchester United is, unfortunately. I mean, look, even Dinamo Zagreb the other day, they lost 9-2 to Bayern Munich. I mean, they're great and all that, but, sometimes you need to be put in your place. And unfortunately, I think that Ten Hag can't do it at United.
All right, just one before we do wrap up. This is a question for all five of you and the guys in the chat. How long's Ten Hag got? And do you think he's going to be here for the whole season?
Till international break, and no.
He will be here to the end of the season, and yes.
Brush?
Yeah, I think he could be gone as soon as the international break.
Is that regardless of results? I mean, if we lose the 2, he's gone.
Yeah, I think...
you still think he's going to be gone?
It depends the manner in which we go about those games, really. Like if you get a jammy win, does that count? I don't know. I can't, fundamentally, I don't see what he's going to change, regardless, because of how he approaches games. So that's going to be it, really. So like Omondi said, if they want to, dig their heels in and stand by him in the hope that he comes good, then we're going to have him for the rest of the season. But I can't see it happening. We'll have to wait and see, innit?
Cool.
I think he will be here to the end of the season, and it wouldn't surprise me if we get a good result against Villa at the weekend. I'm not saying he's doing well. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, like, the way we're playing, we still create chances. We might score goals. Something might change for us. I think we've got good enough players to turn it around. So I haven't completely lost faith.
Dora?
Until first international break, then we will sack him. And no, I don't believe that we are going to get a result from Villa and Porto. I know we've been very good against Emery's Villa in the last since the last season and all that. But he doesn't have Scott McTominay this season, unfortunately. So he won't save him. But yeah, I don't believe it. He's gone.
Bath time. We'll leave it to you to shut this down.
All right. So we got to do the social media shout outs. Rush, where can people find you and your sort of Chairman Mao photo?
They can find me on Twitter at Brushy87. And then otherwise I'm just floating about. So you see me in the comment section on most United channels.
Yeah, like an alley cat. You're just everywhere. Day. Apart from pocketing Daryl at the weekends, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Zico_players first.
You remembered it?
I remember that. I'm just looking at my phone now. It's like, I prepared myself to start.
And Dora,
I got it wrong when I said.
Did you get it wrong?
I said the wrong thing the last time I said. I'm just like, I don't even know if you got that right.
And Dorita, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Adora_MUFC. Sometimes I'm active, but mostly I'm lurking. But yeah, you can hit me up there.
All right. Well, it's a good night from me and the rest of us at United Agenda. So, it's Lacanotch time, isn't it? Right. I want Lacanotch for everyone.
Lacanotch!
Lacanotch!
Rush.
Take care, folks.
No, Lacanotch. Lacanotch.
What's that? Sorry.
It's goodbye in
That's good.
Croatian.
Okay.
Lacanotch in
Lacanotch.
Croatian.
Lacanotch. Did I say it right? There we go.
Lacanotch.
Thank you.
There we go.